And we're now joined by Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark here at Big 12 Pro Days in Frisco, Texas. Man, this has been, thank you for being here.
Hey guys, how are you?
How are you doing?
Great.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
This has been, from every player we've spoken to, they have been thrilled with the experience, the amenities, the setup, and what they're able to do.
You know, on my way over here today, I was just talking about how this is just a world-class place. And listen, it's all about the student athletes, and we wanted this to be a wonderful experience for them. This was something that I had thought about even before I took the job, as I was kind of going through different innovative ideas that I wanted to present during my interview process, believe it or not. And I don't know what was the impetus for me to say, hey, can we ever do some kind of centralized combine just for our conference to elevate our football brand and franchise? And when I finally took the job, I reached out to some of my friends over at the NFL and I said, hey, what do you think? And they said, Brett, it's not really been done that way before, but let's explore it. And a year and a half later, here we are. And to see it come to life, to see NFL Network here, to see the enthusiasm from the student athletes that are all here, I mean, it's great. And obviously, there's things we're going to look to do differently next year as we build this, but we think we're onto something pretty special. And I thank you guys for being here.
Oh, it's great to be here.
No, thank you. Your staff set us up wonderfully. It's been a great day. Now, the other thing, I'm sure the scouts love you to death now because they don't have to go to 12 different places, or next year 16 different places.
Yeah, listen, I'm sure there are those scouts that enjoy those boondoggles. All right, I'm just going to be frank with you, but I think overall, to do it in one location and to have them all converge here in Frisco and give them the best that we have to offer, from a Big 12 conference perspective, it's very efficient. And listen, change isn't easy for everyone, so I'm sure there's those that were kind of questioning why we were doing what we were doing, but I think overall it's been a wonderful experience, and we're looking forward to really building on this for the future.
So another decision that's been made as far as events like this, media days going to Las Vegas later on this summer, which obviously you're adding some schools out west. There's the ever-evolving landscape, so to speak, so it's another summer of new schools coming in. But can you take us to the background of that decision? Why Vegas? Why does that make sense? And not, Arlington like it has been the last few years?
So we love Arlington. We love AT&T Stadium. And, I'm obviously still a rookie commissioner. I call myself still the newbie. But what I learned even last year is that there's a very special dynamic where the student athletes start at AT&T and then they aspire to return there in that championship game. Unfortunately, given the World Cup and some exhibition matches they have this upcoming summer, and then some renovations they have in the summer thereafter, we're being somewhat displaced. Not because we can't come here to Frisco, and because this could be a good option, but unfortunately what we've become accustomed to at AT&T isn't available to us, which is all good. We love AT&T. We love the Dallas Cowboys. They've been great partners. So it's given us an opportunity to say, okay, now that we have expanded our footprint, are there other places we can take, Media Day to, which is one of our tentpole events? And the Four Corners suggested Vegas. And Vegas, to me, is a market of importance. It's the entertainment capital of the world now. You guys know how I think about entertainment in media. So I think it's a natural fit for us, given where we're taking the conference and the brand. So doing it there next summer at Allegiant, gives us a big stage. And it's, closer to the footprint that we're getting into with the Four Corners schools. So we're excited about it. And once we're done with Pro Day, we're going to focus on Media Day and start thinking about how do we make that really special for all involved. So I'm really excited about it. And we'll see how long we stay there. It might be just one and done. Maybe we'll do it for more than 1 year. And, LA is always an option. And candidly, this wonderful facility is an option.
They did it here 1 year.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did it 1 year. Yeah.
And how was it?
It was great.
Was it good?
It's cozy, and yet it has everything you need.
Yeah, no, I mean, the setup here is fantastic. How it's interconnected to the hotel, and you've got retail and the outdoor spaces.
And a lot of that wasn't here,
That
Brett,
wasn't here.
when they,
Yeah.
was that not
The
here?
No, it was
hotels,
still
none of
kind
it.
of just this.
It was just this.
Yeah.
Just this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's kind of built for us.
And
in
a
many
Chipotle.
respects.
There was a Chipotle.
Oh, was there? Okay, they got more than that now. So we'll certainly explore this as an option moving forward. But I'm excited about Vegas. How about you guys? You excited
we were
about
there for
going
the
to Vegas?
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I was there, and great market, and I mean, boy, it's not only the entertainment capital of the world, it's the event capital of the world.
Absolutely.
And I look at this as a big event, so it's a natural fit for us.
Isn't that also a lot of what you had on your plate, the entertainment part of it, as you mentioned, but and not just doing the same thing over and over again because everyone's always done the same thing over and over
100%. And we got to do things that are different, and we got to disrupt in a positive way. And, I'm just fortunate to work with great ADs and a board that's affording me the opportunity to be me and for us to kind of broaden our horizons a little bit. And a couple of years ago, I'm not even sure the Big 12 would have even contemplated going to Vegas. But now I think it's a very natural transition for us, given the fact that we can't beat AT&T. So we're excited about it, and we'll start working on that here in the next couple of weeks. And then what happens after that, who knows? But I think being on the West Coast and accommodating the Four Corner schools is a good thing.
You have made it a mission to move it around. I mean, look, you're going to play basketball games in Central and South America. You're going to move it around. You've done basketball events in New York. There's so many things moving around. How much does that, even without you knowing initially, just the fact that you can be in New York, you can be in LA, you could be in Vegas, in places where people don't regularly think about the Big 12 and then see it, and then it's just kind of implanted there almost.
I think it's a great thing for us. I mean, to the extent that we can continue to nationalize the conference and get on the consciousness of student athletes all over the country, I think is critically important. And the best way to do that is for them to interface with our brand and what we do. So when we can play basketball in New York or go to Vegas or thinking about an event maybe one day in LA, I think that's all good.
So, got the games, March Madness starting back up tonight. A couple teams remaining with Iowa State and Houston. Just how do you feel? Obviously, you'd want more. You'd love to have more teams still alive in the Sweet 16. But a couple of representatives. How do you feel about just
I feel good
where you
about
are?
it. I mean, listen, I would have liked a couple more. I'm sure all of our fans would have. But, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's been a great season for the Big 12. But Houston's here in Dallas, and we'll be rooting them on. I'll go to that game tomorrow night. Tonight, Iowa State versus Illinois. I think they'll fare well. I think that's a good matchup for Iowa State. And then if Iowa State wins and UConn wins, I mean, then the two of them face off Saturday in Boston. And obviously with Houston against Duke, I think they'll do well there too. And then they'll play the winner, I guess, of Marquette and North Carolina State. So I feel really good about the next couple of days. And listen, I'd love to get two in the Final Four, and if we have at least one, I'll be satisfied.
Brett, so many things have changed even since you took over with the college football playoff, the expansion. How much the revenue split with the SEC and the Big Ten, the ACC and the Big 12, there's a difference there. And I mean, Big 12 fourth. Is that a kick in the gut for you when those numbers came out? And was there ever a chance that anyone was going to let the SEC and the Big Ten have an automatic first-round bye? Because that was floated out there as a possibility. Can you kind of give us your point of view on that and the conferences?
Well, listen, I think from a conference perspective, we land in the best place possible. There were some guiding principles that the revenue formula ultimately was based on. It was based on historical performance, participation in the CFP, and obviously we had to extrapolate Texas and Oklahoma. It was ratings, and then it was our multimedia rights value. When you think about ratings and you take out Oklahoma and Texas, we need to get better.
Yep.
And when you think about participation, we had one school, TCU, in 10 years. So I think we landed the best place possible. And we grinded. Trust me. We worked hard at it. And I think the ACC is about 2.49% higher than us. And that's relatively de minimis in the scheme of things. So I think we land in a pretty good place. And, the way I look at it is we're all at the same table still, which is a good thing. We all might look a little different, but we're all at the same table. No one's at the kids' table. And one of the things that I fought for was, the reset, that look-in provision in 2028. Obviously, if there's material realignment, it could be triggered in advance. But there's a look-in in 2028. So I think at the end of the day, no different than what I've said from day one since I took the job, I'm betting on the Big 12. I'm betting on our future. I'm betting on our growth. I know we're going to get better across the board. I know we got better in football with the four corners. I know the investment our schools are making in football. We're going to continue to get better at basketball. And I think Olympic sports also has real upside for us, and women's sports specifically. So I'm excited about where we're going. I think long term we'll be just fine when it comes to the CFP. We do have an automatic bid, if you will, when you think about the conference champion, and we were able to protect that, which I think is critically important moving forward. And I know our schools are excited to invest and get better and to take some of those at large also.
Do Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey truly care about the Big 12 and the ecosystem of college athletics? They say they do. Do they?
Listen, I think at the end of the day, we all want what's right for the institution, but in many cases, our focus is on what's best for our conferences.
Sure.
And I'm going to continue to fight for this conference for all the right reasons because I believe in it. I'm passionate about it. I love where we're going. I'm bullish on our future. And I'm sure Greg and Tony feel the same way about their conferences. And that's okay. I love competition. I'm not conceding anything when it comes to football. I know we're going to get better. And I'm excited about where we are. And I'm looking forward to what unfolds over the course of the next couple of years.
When it comes to the talk around expanding the NCAA basketball tournament, I think if you surveyed fans, they would say don't do anything to it. It seems like there's kind of like when you have that talk about that, most fans wouldn't want that. They wanted the football playoffs expanded, obviously. Basketball not. Wouldn't it be better to focus on the regular season than kind of tweaking with something that's really awesome the way it is?
Listen, I've been a fan of March Madness for many, many years. I'm not sure there's a better event in sports. It really captures the imagination of so many, whether it's casual fans or hardcore fans. You saw some of the numbers, the ratings after the first weekend. I mean, both men's and women's are going up. It's fantastic. And the engagement has been off the charts. I know there's been rumors about modest expansion. If the fans want it and it doesn't compromise the integrity of the tournament, I'm in favor of it. The numbers do show that if we do expand, the Power Four conferences will benefit mostly from that type of expansion. And I think if we do move in that direction, there needs to be a thoughtful process in how we think about it and what it means. But I'm open to the conversation, and I've had conversations with my fellow Power Four commissioners as well as Charlie Baker. So we'll see what happens.
Let me ask you this. If that happens, and if that is and that's a separate revenue flow, wouldn't the Big 12 then be able to say, hey, we've had Kansas win it, we've had Baylor win it, we've had others win it, and the SEC or the Big 10, it's been a while. Do you will get the same clout as they're getting in football?
Well, I'll tell you this, and people might not like hearing this, but if unequal revenue distribution works for football, then it needs to be applied to other areas of the system, okay? And, the value of Kansas, the value of Houston and some of the bigger brands, Baylor, they should be rewarded for what they bring to the table. And I'm very bullish on what the Big 12 brings to that tournament and the value we bring. And when we think about potential changes down the road, if and when there are any, I think you need to look at it very holistically.
Yep.
You can't just look at how many numbers are increased or not. You need to look at the whole thing, and revenue is a part of it. And if you create value, you should receive value. And candidly, that was the position that the SEC and the Big Ten took with the CFP. We're creating the value. We should be rewarded. And you know what? I was okay with it. They did create value. I mean, the SEC put 40% of the participants in the CFP over the last 10 years. Okay, so I look at it from a basketball perspective. That's a real strength of ours right now. And if we're going to look at the tournament, and when we do, I want to look at it from a holistic point of view.
And look, if Arizona wins this year, then because you had to extrapolate Texas and Oklahoma, you get to claim that one.
Well, I mean, listen, when you think about the value that, Arizona brings and other schools, of some of the Four Corners, as good as we are in basketball today, we get that much better. So we'll see what happens in the future. But again, if it worked for the CFP, we need to take that model elsewhere.
You mentioned earlier that you fought when doing the CFP negotiations, and that it wasn't just like, hey, we're just whatever y'all want. But there is a perception that's grown because of the SEC and the Big Ten's just stranglehold of power, it seems like, of basically you're going to do what we want or we're going to take our ball and we're going to go. Is that a misperception? And I guess how would you describe your stance or the ACC stance or others that aren't those two when it comes to, do you guys feel like you have actual say at the table, or is it basically an ultimatum? They get what they want or they pack their bags?
No, listen, I would say that we have a definite seat at the table, and I have a pretty vocal seat at the table. I think you guys have gotten to know me. I'm not one that just takes it all in and doesn't, put a little out. If I disagree, I'm going to tell someone I disagree. And if I have a conviction for a point of view, I'm going to let them know my conviction. And I think both myself and Jim Phillips made that very clear. Ultimately, we landed where we landed, but we spent a lot of time together discussing the different iterations, and we landed where we landed. But when there was disagreement in the room, all parties were aware of it.
What are you like when you, it's not that if you don't get your way, but if you feel strongly enough about something, no matter what it is, what are you like if you start wondering if they're listening to you?
Well, listen, I often, sometimes we can end up saying we'll agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I don't get overly emotional about it, but I do have great conviction, and I'm very passionate about what I believe in. And hopefully, more times than not, I can be very convincing. And, I think I look at things in a fair way and in the right perspective.
If you don't get Texas and Oklahoma to count for you, did you get a little bit of a nugget with Cincinnati?
I did not, and the SEC didn't
I've been wanting to know.
Yeah, and the SEC didn't get Texas and Oklahoma.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You know, so I want
Fair
you to know
enough.
that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, they didn't get that either.
Was
Okay.
it like you just kind of like cancel each other out in that kind of regard?
In that respect, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
and when you look at it, and it's all good at the end of the day. We are the only conference that lost anyone. When you think about it in the last 10 years, the ACC didn't lose anyone. The SEC didn't lose anyone. The Big Ten didn't lose anyone. The Big 12 did. Now, many gained, but we didn't take that into the formula. It was really about historical performance, and if someone left, you can't count on that on the go forward. But that's okay. We did what we needed to do, but in that next iteration, it'll be different.
So the next step in college football, that you hear about the possibility of a separation. You're at the table. You're eating the prime rib or whatever it is with everyone else. It just depends on what you want to put on it, what the side dishes are. Is that even something you think about much, about the possibility there could be the haves and the have-nots? And what does Brett Yormark think about that?
I don't think about that. I don't think anyone's
Okay.
breaking away. I mean, I think we're all in this together. We're obviously very competitive. Everyone's narrative is a bit different. But as I've often said, I'm bullish on our future. I'm bullish on where we're going. I look at our conference in many respects as a mature startup. We're not a legacy conference versus some of the older conferences. And I'm treating it as such. And we have a lot of growth ahead of us. And it's up to me as the commissioner to help to optimize that growth and capture that growth, which we're going to do. And the first step was expansion, and will be for the first time ever, a 16-team, conference. And I love where we're going. I love the makeup of this conference. I'm betting on each and every one of our schools as they are betting on themselves. And I'm excited for our future. And I really don't focus on who's breaking away or not. At the end of the day, and I've said this really since I took the job, my goal is for the Big 12 to be the best version of themselves. And if we're the best version of the Big 12 that we can be, we're going to be just fine.
So you've got so many topics on your plate. I don't know how much you dabble in, for example, the conversation about revenue sharing with athletes getting paid directly through schools, and that just seems to be something that's just around the corner. And how much do you get into those types of conversations? Because I don't know how much that affects you at a conference commissioner level. It seems like more of an individual school thing, but can you take us into your perspective?
Listen, we have strategy sessions with all of our member institutions. We talk about the future, what the model might look like. Obviously, it's in the D1 ticker and everywhere else every day.
Yeah.
I do think the model's going to change. I think many have said that before. I do think we're moving towards a revenue share model. What that looks like specifically, I can't tell you today. But hopefully we're going to get closer to a model that's sustainable and one that we can all sign up for. And I know I'm working very closely with my fellow Power 4 commissioners on what that model should look like and how do we get there. It's something that we're focused on. And on a personal level, I'm focused on it more now than I've ever been.
Is there a way to get there without having Congress do anything? Can you bypass them and their gridlock?
I think ultimately we're going to need Congress to help us. I think, having spent some time on the Hill, I'm not sure Congress wants to save us, but I think they have an appetite to help us, and there's a distinct difference. But we have to help ourselves, and we've got to take that first step, and then ultimately go to Congress to codify certain things. And as we think about the sequencing of where we need to go and how we get there, I think that's the sequence.
Is it fair to say you already have 4 or 5 ideas that we don't know what they are yet?
I've told my team, I got a whiteboard in my office. In fact, I take a picture of that whiteboard every couple of days because I make some changes to it, and I carry it on my iPhone. And I'm trying not to introduce any new ideas right now because we are in execution mode, full execution mode. When you think about the next 5 or 6 months, we're bringing 4 new schools in. We're introducing 2 new sports. We're now up to 25 sports in the conference. We're bringing in women's lacrosse and beach volleyball. We launched our PSL around Kansas City. We're looking at doing a championship for volleyball for the first time and introducing that in 25. We are moving our offices in October from where our current office is today. We've got a lot on our plate. And
You're staying in Dallas for
no,
work?
we're in Las Colinas. It's
okay.
public.
Yeah.
But we're moving out of our current home. We've been there for about 28 years into a more contemporary office space. We've grown quite a bit. Since I've been on board, we've doubled the size of the conference. So there's a lot on our plate right now. Obviously, Media Day in Las Vegas is new and different. Historically, we've been right here in Dallas. So a lot on our plate. So execution is key for me. We want to execute at a high level. So I'm looking not to burden our staff with too much on their plate, but where I see opportunity, and I see opportunity where we can really seize the moment, we're going to do what we need to do.
So if anybody asks if they're on a new idea, they've got to move. Moving's a pain.
Well,
You've done it a lot.
No, I have. You're absolutely right. My wife just moved to Dallas.
Well, that's been, what, a year and a half or so?
No, so I've been here for, it'll be 2 years in August. She just moved here 2 months ago.
Wow.
To join me, which is nice. She was transitioning out of her restaurant. Her sister's now running it, and her sister's kids. So having her here has been great. In fact, she has made the trips to Baylor quite a bit with me of late.
Yeah, you've been there a lot.
I was a lot there this year because what I did with my travel, for basketball is I was using TCU and Baylor as my home base. because it wasn't so much about being on campuses as much as it was saying hello to the coaches and engaging with the officials and the team. So it's a quick drive for me, which worked out really well. So I enjoyed being on campus. Obviously, love the new building and everything they're doing there. So it worked out well.
If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you about a basketball question. When a coach is reprimanded, fined, whatever, it's public, why aren't officials, if they're reprimanded or maybe asked not to maybe officiate for a week or two?
So, that's a great question. And it's a question that I posed to my ADs about transparency. And we had a big meeting in Kansas City about it. I came from the NBA, as you know, and the NBA often, in the last 2 minutes, I think of a game, they will go back, and if there were mistakes made, they'll publicly say there were some missed calls or incorrect calls. Mm-hmm. They don't call out any officials in particular, but they'll say it was an incorrect call. And the question is, should we be doing the same? Because I'm all about accountability, and I'm all about transparency to the fans. And it's something that we are discussing.
Good.
As we look towards next year. Is that a new dynamic and something that we should introduce? And it's all about transparency and accountability.
Would you be in favor of officiating be centralized among all the conferences instead of having Big 12 officials, ACC officials, SEC officials, or is that not something you guys can do?
We have our primary officials. Mm-hmm. We've got about 55 officials in our consortium, and many of them are primary, but they still do games in other conferences. And that's the whole system. So that's not unique to the Big 12. And they're independent contractors, unlike the NBA when they're employees. So it's a different dynamic. So I like the arrangement right now. The question is, do we maybe expand our consortium? Do we get a bigger pipeline of officials, which obviously I think is critical on a go-forward basis? All those things we're thinking about now, because after every season we'll go through an audit. We'll look at what worked well, what didn't, and how do we improve for the next year. And we're going through that exercise right now.
I know you got to go, and we appreciate your time today. And this again, there's more time to come because Saturday the event comes back. Do you feel like the conference is now more? You use that word efficient. Is that one of the words you want to use across the board? You want it to be not only the brand gets better, everybody gets better, but becomes more efficient across the board.
Yeah, listen, I think. Again, I'll go back to this. We've been a bit of a mature startup. That's kind of how I thought about it when I took over. We needed to add resources and human capital. We needed to redefine people's roles so we could be more efficient and we can execute at a higher level. And I think you're seeing that now. In all due respect to the former Big 12, if you will, because I think we're the new Big 12 now. 2 years ago, they could never have pulled off a pro day like this. Our staff has done an incredible job, led by Scott Draper, who's our vice president of football.
Glad you mentioned him, yeah.
We did not have the resources to do something like this. We didn't have a marketing team to promote it, to engage on social media, et cetera, et cetera. So, yes, I think efficient is a good word to use. We're becoming more efficient. We're becoming more capable as a business, as an operation. And again, I think the best is, right in front of us.
I'm a wrestling fan, so I want to ask you, WWE is as hot as it's ever been. You guys partner with them. People are like, what in the world? College athletics, WWE, Undertaker's there giving Quinn Ewers a belt at the football game and at the basketball tournament. What has that partnership been like from your perspective? Yeah.
It's enabled us to tap into a different fan base. You go back to the football champ game, which was our first formal engagement with WWE. They were branded alongside us throughout, Champ Weekend, and obviously the belt was a big hit. We had WWE stars, and our fans really rallied around them, and so we're excited, and we're looking to continue to extend that relationship. We took it to Kansas City, where the MVPs of both the women's and men's received a belt, which they loved. And we're going to try to continue that trend through all of our championships and see where there's really points of connectivity. In fact, some of the WWE stars are coming this weekend during Pro Day. to meet with many of the student athletes, because some of them aren't going to make it in the
Right.
NFL, and that's okay, because we're trying to provide other opportunities. You have the United Football League that's here and their scouts. You have the CFL that's here. The WWE's here. Many former football players have become wrestlers. In fact, Michael Jordan's NASCAR racing team will also be here this week, because if you look at pit crews, many of them are made up of former football players. So, yes, this is a combine. It's a pro day. It's in partnership with the NFL, but we want to explore every and all opportunity to give our student athletes that next chapter. And maybe it's in the NFL. Hopefully it is. But if it's not, can we do other things for them? So this whole pro day, the concept here is to go as deep as we can. And then there's life skills exercises. In fact, tonight I'll be on a panel just addressing, to some of the student athletes a little bit about my journey and how I got to where I am today. And I know others are going to be doing the same. So we can listen and learn from each other. So just excited about the depth of what we're doing here and how we're able to personalize it a little bit more than maybe what they do even at the NFL Combine. And again, we'll build on this for next year. So this is just the start.
With all that you have on your plate, are you at least keeping an eye on what's happening with the ACC? Because that could be like another dam breaking.
Listen, I don't know what's going to happen with realignment moving forward. No one has a crystal ball, but I just think, from where I sit, I've just got to be aware of what's going on all the time. And I've always done that. I mean, I consider myself someone that's pretty well read and pretty well connected, because I'm not one that likes to be surprised. And, no different than what we did with the Four Corners. If there's ever an opportunity to seize the moment, you want to seize the moment and you want to take advantage of it. And so, I live my life that way, regardless of what it is.
Wait, thank you. A lot of time with us today. We met you for the first time when you're the Big 12 commissioner, when we were at Big 12 Media Days. He was in Hawaii getting married, so he was kind of busy, but always appreciate your time.
No, thank you, guys.
Really
I appreciate your support of what we do, and thank you for, being here, and I look forward to chatting again soon.
It's been a great day for us. We've had players on. Ren Baker was on. We'll tell Mac Roach you said hi.
Tell
as
Mac,
if you guys don't text every
Mac
night.
is my guy. We text every other day, and I know he's doing well. And Ren just got himself a great coach.
He did.
And I saw that today. I guess the coach's son.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's coming along.
Soccer.
He happened to follow him in the transfer.
Hey, that's.
He's a great
Double dip.
recruiter.
Yes. And I guess the kid's a hell of a player, right?
Yeah, he
Oh,
is.
he's,
Oh, no.
yeah, he's really good.
Oh,
My
yeah.
son was texting me today. I think he was in the top 5 scorers in college basketball this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a big
So,
deal for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Ren did okay.
Great basketball player.
I would just say you come here, you're out of the will. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'm Italian. We do get vindictive pretty well.
Thank you, man.
Good.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you,
time.
guys.
Appreciate you.
Be well.
Brett Yormark, Big
Thank
12
you.
commissioner in Frisco at Big 12 Pro Days, 365 Sports.